What's up, everybody, and welcome into the H&M Trucking Podcast. I am your host, Marcus. Thank you so much for being here today. I don't even know what damn episode we're on. We're getting so many of these things now. This is episode 83. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed the Veterans Day special last week. We had a lot of fun putting that episode together, and also, of course, getting to talk to so many veterans, getting to hear their stories, hear their motivations, hear what Vets Day means to them was really cool. So we just want to take one more shot before we leave this alone for the rest of the year here and say thank you to all of our vets for your service. Thank you for working for the great company that we all work for, H&M Trucking. Thanks for everything you do every single day of the week, not just what you did while you were in the military. And if you want to check out all of those pictures that the veterans sent in of themselves in uniform and some of the just pictures from their service time, you can head on over to the website right now and check that out. Now, the website is very easy to get to. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get to the website right here. I'm opening up a browser as we speak. I am on the home page. I'm headed over to hmtrucking.com right now. And just a little bit below where it says ahead of the curve, if you're at the home page for the H&M Trucking, scroll down one little bit and you'll see me smiling there like an idiot. It says Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, and you click the Check It Out button. It will take you to the podcast landing page, which you can also find just by typing in podcast.hmtrucking.com if you want to skip the extra step. That's where everything's at. If you want to see the pictures, if you want to get information on some of our guests, if you want to check out all the episodes, maybe you only want to listen to episodes about a certain topic, like, hey, I'm not in the mood to hear about any of the hustle and bustle from the workday. I want to laugh. Well, you can go in, you can search through our playlists, and you can click comedy, and it will only bring up the episodes that we think were the funny ones where we're just goofing around. Let's say you want to hear about winter driving. There's a tab for that. There's a tab for literally everything you can think of. A ton of different, topics and like subject matter things that you can search through there. All I'm trying to say by saying all of this is that our new website, podcast.hmtrucking.com, is the haps, okay? It's where all the cool stuff is going on. There's been a ton of people listening to backlogged episodes ever since we launched the podcast, which I think is really cool. There's 82 episodes behind this one that you could listen to if you're bored. That's 82 hours worth of content right there. I mean, look, if you're working a standard 40-hour week, it'll get you through 2 weeks. I know most of you drivers are probably putting in more like 60 hours a week, so it'll get you through a week and a half if you haven't listened to all of it. It's kind of fun to listen back from the very first one, and I don't mean the very first episode of the H&M Trucking Podcast. I mean the very first episode back when we were doing a podcast called Unplugged OTR. I had a couple of co-hosts in here with me, Caleb and Maria. We had all sorts of fun. We sent Caleb off to truck stops. We had him take a truck stop shower. We had him eat basically like a styrofoam clamshell Thanksgiving meal from a truck stop to see how he rated it. It was merely okay, but we did a lot of fun stuff back in the day before we lost Maria and Caleb to different positions and greener pastures. So now we're doing the H&M Trucking Podcast. So 82 episodes of the H&M Trucking Podcast behind this one. And then another 18 actually brings you to 100 even episodes that you could go back and listen to right now. And they're all available, of course, at every place that you listen. If you're a YouTube watcher, they're there. If you are a fan of Spotify or iTunes, it's there. But a lot of people have been utilizing the website, so go check it out. I think something like 75 to 80% of our listens come from the website. So it's really cool. It's all inclusive. It's right there. And there's some cool pictures of H&M trucks in the background. You get to see what the graphics crew can do with all of my pictures. I don't know what I was ever thinking taking like 700 photos in an H&M hat in front of a green screen, but I did it. And the designers have had a field day with me. So it's kind of fun to go check that stuff out. It's all there at the website. Once again, podcast.hmtrucking.com. Check it out. Let us know what you think. There's also a spot there where you can send me an email if you'd like to. I love the feedback. I always love to hear what you guys like to hear, what you don't like to hear, what you want to hear. Maybe we haven't addressed a topic that you think we really should get on and you'd like to hear us dive into it. Maybe you'd like to come on the show and talk about said topic with us. You can find all of the information that you're going to need to send that email my direction over at podcast.hmtrucking.com. Okay, that's like 5 minutes of homework about the website, but in all honesty, my guys Tim and Tyler, the guys that were instrumental in that website, Deanna also helped. You guys know Deanna from back in the early days of the podcast. And, of course, Jackson, Haley, Mike, let's see, I know I'm forgetting, so Scott. We've got such a good team of people here working towards these awesome things that you all get to take advantage of. So big pat on the back to all of them. Could not produce this podcast without our entire team, and we've got a badass one. In fact, we're already thinking about when we're going to do the next behind-the-scenes episode, maybe play a couple of games and get to know these guys a little bit better. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. Never a lack of things going on. And today is a very good example of that because we have a bevy of stuff to get to. In fact, I've already been talking for 6 minutes right now, and I've probably got 3 minutes worth of stuff left to tell you and like a minute worth of time to tell you. So I'm going to go kind of micro machines here and get through everything that we are addressing on the show today. November is when open enrollment is here. And if you need to make any adjustments to your insurance or your benefits, open enrollment's the time to do it. We are going to talk to Chief People Officer Eve Essary right around the corner. She's going to give you all the information that you need on open enrollment. After that, we had a little bit of an incident happen down at the Gomez lot. It looks like there was a break-in down there. A bunch of personal vehicles got broken into. So we want to hear what the company's doing to respond, and we'll also talk to the driver that discovered this. Chief Operations Officer Ryan Holm will join us, along with our friend of the podcast, H&M Driver Zach Beckman. He's the one that stumbled upon what happened here. So we're going to talk to them about that and get the 411 on what the heck is going on down at Gomez. And then finally after that, H&M driver Erik King has been hitting me up here for a few weeks saying, I would like to come on and share some recipes, talk about food. And also, Erik, you might not know this, is actually a trained chef. So Erik is going to give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain on what a trained chef outfits his truck with, so you can make all the great food that he's making. And trust me, he does it on a budget. So it's not going to be this thing where we're going to come on the podcast here, you're trying to learn how to cook in your truck and save some money, and we're going to tell you to go out and buy $2,000 worth of cooking utensils and accoutrement. That ain't the way we're going to do it. Erik's going to give us some really good tips on how you can make good food in the truck on a budget. And of course, Denny Stone, my co-host, who will join us here shortly, has always been big on cooking food in the truck, and he's going to share some stuff with us as well. So that's the entire episode in a nutshell, and I need to get the heck out of here so that we can get to these interviews. So enjoy it. We'll see you around at the end of the show. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to go check out the website one more time, podcast.hmtrucking.com. Let's get to it.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
All right, welcome back in here to the H&M Trucking Podcast. I'm here with Denny Stone, and Denny, it's a little dicey out there today. You're having some internet problems down there in Texas, I hear.
Yeah, it's been on and off most of the day today. They'll send me a message saying it's fixed, and then 15 minutes later, it disappears. They're like, oh, found another problem. We're working on it. So, hey, if I disappear, I'll catch y'all next time or something, I guess.
Yeah, you could almost say with 100% accuracy that if Denny suddenly drops out of a segment, it's because I've muted him and taken away the ability for him to talk. This will not be the case today. I will not have my hand over the mute button. So if we lose Denny, that's why. I just wanted everybody to know. We're also joined by one of our absolute favorites here, Eve Essary, the Chief People Officer, joins us. Eve, thanks for being here today.
Hi, guys.
Now, we wanted to bring you on here for just a short segment. I know you're really busy. Also, probably a little bit excited because we are recording this the day before the first playoff football game for Eve's son. And we're all big Weeping Water fans here at the podcast now. And everybody that's listening should be rooting on that school as well as they take on the number 9 seed in the first round of the playoffs tomorrow night. It's so exciting. I love high school football so much.
I also love high school football. It's kind of interesting because this year I have one kid on the team, which is strange. I've had up to 3, and we only play 8-man football. So when 3 of them on the field are Essaries, that's, kind of fun. So I have one that's playing this year, my last boy to play football. So I'm really excited to watch him and see what happens tomorrow. And really excited we got a home team, or we got a home field advantage. So we're the higher seed, number 8. So super excited to see what happens.
Yeah, us too. We'll definitely keep you updated on the podcast. We'll let you know what's the mascot?
We're the Indians.
How the Indians do. Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing that I've never had a problem with that name. I want to go out and say that right now. My high school was named the Savages, and we had a big Native American headdress that was kind of our middle of our gym floor. And the whitest guy we've ever seen came in and raised a bunch of hell with the school board about it, and they took away our mascot because they said, well, you can't call Native Americans savages. It was this big thing. And so we went with just the word savages on our football helmet my senior year. We used to have a really cool spear or like an axe or the headdress, and they took it away from us, and we were just a word. And now they're the Outlaws. So I'm glad that you get to keep the Indians. And I it's not an offensive thing or anything. I would say it's probably more of like an in tribute or in homage type thing. Yeah. And the imagery is always so cool that surrounds that mascot. So I'm glad you guys still have it.
We kind of think of it as warriors, right? And being strong and being unafraid and being, all of those things that kind of go with the mascot. So, I hope no one takes offense to it. I don't think that it's meant that way. It's just really meant as, what are the things that are most fearsome and, the strongest, the mascot should be something that really kind of embodies that. And I think so we are the Indians. And we do have our little Weeping Water is like a W, 2 W's kind of combined and then a spear through it. And that's kind of what we use as our logo, I guess. So
that's very cool. Well, sorry to take a few minutes here, but as I said, I know Denny too is a big fan of high school football, and he hails from the state that basically invented high school football. So
yeah, ask me what my mascot was.
Okay.
What's your mascot?
When I was in junior high, we were the Bowdiddles. I have no idea what the hell that's supposed to mean.
What the hell is a Bowdiddle? I thought that was a guy
in
who's
high school. High school was, and still are, the Wildcats, and of course now they have a like a Wildcat.
Yeah.
But it originally started way back in the 20s because East Texas was a huge oil field, and it was after the Wildcatters, the ones that would go out, and explore for oil.
My high school was also the Wildcats.
We've got, in New Braunfels, we've got the Unicorns. I think it's the only school in the United States, their mascot is a unicorn.
Make for some interesting uniform color combinations, I'm sure, with a unicorn.
And I always thought,
mascot.
in fact, my grandson plays a team, another school, the Trojans. And, of course, California's got the Trojans. And I always thought that's such a bad name for a team.
Well,
all sorts of connotations. And, if you think of like the Trojan horse and stuff, they're the ones that got through. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe we're on this subject, but since we're talking about funny mascot names, I've got to give you guys one more because it's regional and you might not know about it. There's a little town called Orofino, Idaho, up the Clearwater River after it intersects with the Snake River, kind of draws away from Hell's Canyon a little bit, and you go up, there's this little logging town, and their high school, and I used to wrestle there every single year, and I also dated a girl that lived there for about 4 years, so very intimate knowledge of this. Their high school mascot
town or
is
the girl?
All of it. The mascot as well.
And we digress again.
Oh boy.
I've actually announced as a color announcer for the high school football team in Orofino at one point in time, and they are the Orofino Maniacs. Now, that doesn't sound like that crazy of a thing. However, when you're driving up to Orofino High School, if you continue past the high school up the hill about a quarter of a mile, there is an insane asylum that is still operational. And I don't even think they call it an insane. I think they call it a mental hospital now. But this high school has a giant person in a diaper wearing moccasins with crazy hair, like running across their gym wall. And they are the Orofino Maniacs. Like, it's the most egregious thing. How are you going to take savages away from us?
Ethel.
Yeah.
And
but you can have a guy in a diaper.
Yeah, right. They're proud of it. They love the Maniacs up there in Orofino. So, high schools get a little crazy with their mascots these days.
Now, as you mentioned, there's a town in Missouri, and you see the signs all along Interstate 44 that the best fudge comes from Uranus.
Yeah, that is
Good
right.
Lord.
I'm wondering what their mascot might be.
The
By those
Packers,
signs many times.
they're the Packers, Denny. They just left the first part off. That's... And since we're sitting
Name's
here with
Fonda.
the chief people officer, I think we just got as close to the line as we can get on this episode. So it's probably a good idea for us to shift gears here and talk about the reason that we actually have Eve in here, because her time is valuable, and it's important what we have to talk about today, Eve, because we are creeping on open enrollment. In fact, by the time this episode actually airs, we will be in open enrollment. So tell us about it.
Yeah.
We're starting open enrollment November 4th. So by the time this airs, we'll be in the swing of things. Going through the 22nd of November, so all the way up until right before that week of Thanksgiving. So one thing about open enrollment this year that is good is there's not a lot of changes. In the last couple of years, we've had some really big changes, lots of things happening, but we really have gotten to the point where we're in a good spot. We have some really good providers. We're really competitive, all of those things. So not a lot of changes, which I'm really excited about on my end of things. Premiums are staying the same. No changes in any of that. The only thing changing there is that the deductible has been $2,000 for an individual and $4,000 for the employee and children. And it's going up to $2,500 for the employee and $5,000 for the employee and children. So that's not really going to affect the masses. It's only going to affect those that hit the deductible. They're going to pay a little bit more, but it's how we're going to keep those premiums the same and not make any changes there.
Pretty standard stuff for this time of year. I mean, and good that we don't have that whole laundry list like we did last year about things that you need to keep an eye on and things that you need to, be working out for yourself, because I do remember it being quite an extensive conversation last year.
And it was an extensive conversation with every single person, that we had contact with. So we're really excited to be able to kind of shorten that this year. Vision is staying the same. Dental is the same. All those voluntary things, everything else, no changes in price or plan. Everything else is staying the same. So there's only that one change. Every year, the IRS changes the maximum contributions for HSAs, FSAs, 401k. So those will change just because the IRS says you can put a little bit more every year. And so we'll send out some information on that. But for the most part, again, not very many people really hit those maximums anyway. So it's not going to affect everybody. You still put in whatever you want to put in. But yeah, everything else is all good. Same system that we used last year. So we'll send out some emails that'll have a link in it. You can go in and say, I want to do the exact same thing, click through it. It'll take you 5 minutes at the most. If you want to change anything, that's the time to do it. And it'll go into effect January 1.
Perfect. And you mentioned some of the free stuff that's staying around. We did a really good episode on that, and it's actually kind of surprised me. I'm going to call out the listeners of the H&M Trucking Podcast here for a second. It's one of the least listened to episodes out of like our last 20. In fact, it is the least listened to episode. And it's all about free things that are just there for you to use to help yourself. So shame, listeners. We need to pick that one up a little bit.
It's like they don't
even care about, pre-consultations and things. Gosh.
I mean,
I
what
don't
are
know.
What are you even doing here, Eve? What
what
are you
are
even
we-
putting in the elbow grease for?
My job is so
exciting. I can't believe that they don't want to hear about all these things that are happening. No, I get it. I totally get it.
I
You
feel like
don't need it until you need it, right? You don't want to think about it until you need it. So
Exactly. And I feel like in terms of my experience as a professional and the HR departments I've worked with, we do a pretty good job of funning this thing up a little bit here at H&M. I mean, you're one of our favorite guests to have on here, and we're always laughing about things like high school mascots. So, we do good.
We're a good
time. I don't know. What's up with that?
Well, I can't tell if Denny's frozen or just doesn't have anything to say. How's the internet doing over there, Denny?
Oh, we're doing fine. I'm just listening.
Okay. Gotcha. Good. We still got you. You hadn't moved there for a minute
I'm
on my
thinking
screen.
insurance is boring, so I probably wouldn't want to listen to it either.
I know.
But we should.
Real
We do have
unfortunate.
to, we got to make sure everybody's got their benefits ready before they close that open enrollment. It really is a headache that they do like 30 days out of the entire year unless you have some type of qualifying event, which, married or if you moved or changed jobs, stuff like that's qualifying, right, Eve?
Yeah, but this is the time of year to be thinking about it anyway. It's also open enrollment for Medicare. So those that are eligible for Medicare, this is the time to, be thinking about making that switch. The thing about it is Medicare generally is actually going to be cheaper than the H&M plan right now. Take a really close look at it. You can still keep our dental and vision and all of those things without having the medical. So I always want to make sure everybody's getting the best deal, what works for them the best. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the company's got a good benefits package. You want to take advantage of it if you can, and now's the time to get looking into that stuff for sure. So let's see, one more order of business. I did just get off the phone with Thad McBride, who's become a really big podcast fan, and we've also got him in 2 episodes here that have just aired recently. So he wanted me to tell you, because I told him, hey, I got to get moving. I got to go interview Eve. And he wanted me to tell you straight up, hi, first of all, and second, he absolutely loves the newsletter. So,
awesome.
I appreciate that. Michaela, our recruiter here, actually is the one that puts the newsletter together and does it. And she does a great job. She makes it fun, entertaining. It's got some movement. It's got little graphics that move around and all of that. So she does a great job. So I will definitely pass that on to her as well. But she works real hard on that.
Yeah, she does. And I think that maybe here in the near future, we're going to figure out a way to collaborate a little bit with Michaela, because we had a fantastic time with her when she came on the podcast, probably a month or so, maybe a little bit longer than that back. And she got a great personality for coming on here and having some fun with the newsletter and some of the things that are in it. So, the podcast is just always evolving, and we're always finding all these great people to talk to and great things to talk about. So, as always, Eve, we greatly appreciate all the information that you bring us here. We love it when we get to laugh with you, but we know that sometimes we've got to do some work here too on this podcast, so we appreciate the time.
Story of my life.
All right, good luck, Indians. We'll talk to you very soon.
Let's go, Indians. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, a conversation that we've got to have now. Probably not one that we're too excited about, to be honest with you, but hey, stuff happens, and that's what we use the podcast for, is to address it. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Denny Stone. Denny, how you doing today?
Doing okay. How are y'all?
I can't complain. Can't complain at all. It's Friday when we're recording this, so I'd be crazy to complain. Joining us as well, we've got Chief Operations Officer from H&M Trucking, Ryan Holm, back on the show. Ryan, good to have you back.
Thank you.
Did you know when you came on this show the first time here a couple months back that we were just going to turn you into a podcast star?
I didn't know that. I don't know if I'd call myself a star, but happy to participate.
Hey, you're filling the role perfectly, my friend. We always appreciate the time. And also, we've got here with us H&M driver Zach Beckman. What happened here is that we had a break-in at the Gomez lot, and Zach, I understand you're the one that actually was the first upon the scene here. Tell me what happened. Tell me what you saw.
So originally was, first thing in the morning for me, or, for me at least, or late morning for a lot of others, was up doing the morning ritual, bathroom, check truck, all that whatnot. Well, I happened to run upstairs, and on my way back, out of the corner of my eye, something caught my attention. I don't know what. It just kind of looked over there, and next thing I know, I'm looking at the red F-150, which belongs to Sloan of all people, and I noticed a window appeared to be busted, and I thought about it. I was like, I don't recall there being any bad weather coming through here. It's been clear the last couple of days, what's up? So turned around, and I happen to know Sloan already, called him up, and I was like, hey, anything wrong with your truck that you're aware of, that, anything I need to know? He's like, no, what'd you do in my truck? Because, he always accuses us of messing with this stuff, be it his personal truck or his, work truck.
Wait,
and,
this is Mark Sloan you're talking about? This
Mark
can't
Sloan,
be the same
yes,
Mark
sir.
Sloan I know.
Yes. Oh, he don't trust me and somebody else. Like, there's a few people he knows darn well we're going to mess with his stuff as soon as we can. First thing I did when I found out what his semi was, I started messing with his stuff. So, but it caught my attention. I walked over there and called him up, and he assumed, rightfully so, that I messed with his stuff. And I was like, no, I'm being dead serious. Is there anything wrong with your truck that I need to know about, before I make other phone calls? He's like, no, truck's just fine. Why? What's wrong with it? I was like, your back window's busted out. Like, it is shattered, busted, broken, however you want to phrase it. It is pretty much not where it's supposed to be. It's all over the ground. And rightfully so, he was livid, and he called me up instantly, and I was like, hey, it's yours and the one right next to you, and which then, made me look at all the other ones, and I'm like, all right. Went down the line of trucks that, all the personal vehicles there, and starting from apparently the very first, I believe it's a convertible old school car that was sitting there. From my understanding, apparently that one didn't have a broken window, but there was evidence of tampering. Mm-hmm. And then looking from that one, the next one, and I feel really bad about this one, is what appears to be a brand new, it was either Chevy or GMC, lifted pickup, gorgeous truck, back window shattered on that one also. All up inside it, all over the ground, everything. I went down the list of vehicles, and each and every vehicle over there, 8 of them had a broken window, which was the main thing I noticed on them. And then after some phone calls and pictures and everything were made, Jim ends up showing up, Rick ends up showing up, and a couple of police end up showing up. And, I'm not looking all that innocent here, but turn around and we go down the list of vehicles, and each and every vehicle over there showed a sign of being tampered with in some way, shape, or form. Wow. And most of them, the 8 of them had a broken window. Most of them were the back window. And then all the other vehicles there, you could tell somebody had taken a hand, a rag, whatever, I'm guessing the person probably had a hoodie is going to be my guess. And they swiped away some of the dust, and you could see they were looking into the vehicles. Mm-hmm. And after taking a look around with another driver, what we found was, shockingly enough, the person got in at the very back corner of the lot over there where the billboard sign is, but back where it kind of comes to a point in the back of the lot. Come to find out, the one side that we share with some other neighbors over there, you could see there was an attempt at an entry over there through cutting the fence. And then on the other side, I guess they couldn't get in over there, was where they actually broke in at. They came back around on the railroad side, cut down the line, cut down some of the fencing right there and managed to get in. I happened to be parked over there. And obviously I caught some flack, be it from Jim, be it from Ryan, be it from Sloan, be it from whoever. They all gave me some smoke about, what, you couldn't hear them? Is like, there's 53 foot of a loaded trailer behind me, an APU going, and me snoring. I'm not going to hear squat unless they are actually trying to break into my truck. Then I'll probably hear them. Right. But in the meantime, I didn't hear squat. Me and the sergeant driver that were checking everything out, kind of looking around and not fiddling with anything, trying not to, mess up the crime scene or anything. Well, by the looks of it, it looked like whoever it was who broke in, it looked like they rolled in on a relatively small vehicle. My guess, by the looks of the tracks, was it looked like it may have been a four-wheeler, an ATV of sorts, something down that line, because there was a relatively fresh-looking set of tracks that matched up to something like that. When you speed up, guy probably walked behind the trailers. I know we got the camera sitting there on the trailer shop, so they may or may not have gotten footage from it. But my guess is he got in through back there, walked around the backside, probably walked along the jersey barriers that we have back behind the trailers to keep people from, pushing the fence down with the trailers. Probably walked along that and then hit up each one of the vehicles from there. And then, made a dart back over that way and got back out. It didn't look like anything major was stolen, or at least anything that we could tell of. However, something I was able to piece together, and maybe I'm just, putting things together that don't need to be together, but it looked like according to the Scion is what I got this assumption off of, but I'm sure we've all heard of the spark plug trick with trying to break windows in.
Mm-hmm.
You take that little ceramic piece or whatever it is, and, you chuck it at it and this, that, and the other. Well, the Scion had tinted windows, and near the base of the window, where it appears to be where the impact point is, it wasn't very large. And that's what led me to the assumption of, hey, each one of these is shattered. There's no real evidence left anywhere. And this is the only thing we got to go off of. And that impact point is so small, 2 and 2 go together. I'm guessing a spark plug. Or potentially, and I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but that little rubber band with a piece of metal in it, I forget what that's supposed to be, but there's also that little trick that I've seen from on the news. So I'm guessing one of those two.
Well, I'll tell you, you should either A, consider a second career in law enforcement, or B, start understanding why you look so suspicious, Zach. I mean, I feel like you've solved this crime already, man. If you had a little bit of footage and a description, you might be able to run this guy down.
Well, that's kind of the kicker. Was I was talking to Jim about it, and I've heard two different stories on how our cameras in the trucks operate when once they're turned off and once we park for the day. I've heard on one hand, supposedly they run the entire time or up to 10 hours, and then I was recently told they run in increments of X amount of time and then turn off and kind of cycle. So if they're running all the time, that would be great. If they're cycling, unfortunate, because we would have had, my truck would have at least with the field of view caught them as they started getting down the line if they went off the to the inside of the yard at any chance. And then there was a couple other trucks in that area that could have potentially caught something, because field of view, they may have seen it. Then we got all the cameras right there, so
sure,
depending on how that works, they may actually have footage. From my understanding, Jim was trying to get somebody else that would have to log into the system and get the footage, this, that, and the other. And as I was getting ready to leave, because I had to be wherever, I had to be down in Laredo, from my understanding, Jim was actually getting ready to start taping the plastic and everything over the windows, all that whatnot. Well, next thing I know, Jim's walking over there with this thick plastic and everything, and the two cops had made up their mind. They're like, hey, there's enough here. We can get the forensics team out here, take pictures, this, that, the other, get a report going. And as Jim is walking over there, obviously he didn't catch, what these two officers made up their mind on. And I'm sure Jim would have testified to. You just started hearing me go, Jim, 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 Jim. And he looks at me. He's like, what? I was like, no, don't, no touchy, no touchy. They're going to have lab crew out. And he's like, oh, okay. Because originally they weren't going to, but then once, we showed them everything, they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and get let's get them out here and get pictures and everything. And
Good.
From my understanding, similar to what happened with the catalytic converter thing down at the L yard, apparently, from what I heard, we're not allowed to have our fence be a little more shocking.
Yeah, and
Apparently
actually,
Omaha won't sign off on that.
well, that's kind of why we brought Ryan on here, too. And thanks, Zach, for painting the picture for us there. I love the gumshoe work that you're doing. And, of course, you never want to be the person that walks up on something like that, especially not if it's your vehicle. But if it's somebody you know or somebody you care about, you hate to see it. Car theft is a problem in this country, no question. And Ryan, Want to go to you here for company response, because obviously we know that the company's concerned about this, but we also know, like Zach touched on there at the end, that there's only so many precautions that you can take here because you're kind of being hamstrung by the city a little bit.
Yeah, well, very true. First, I want to say thanks to Zach. I appreciate you looking out for us and your fellow drivers. You know, we're a family here, and we need to look out for each other, and that means a lot. I appreciate that, because when you brought that to our attention, immediately we were trying to spring into action. So, as you mentioned, Zach, Jim immediately came down there. I had a phone call that morning, was notified by it. And I want to say thanks to Jim as well. Jim did a really good job of jumping on this and taking ownership to make sure all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed. So just to give you a little more context about this as well, this happened. We have cameras in our yards. We've had cameras in our yards, so we have surveillance. We've increased the lighting there to try to deter people from trying to come in. And Zach mentioned we did have a break-in before, and even a couple of years before the Cadillac converter, we had some tires stolen out of containers of the trailer shop where this recent incident happened as well. So when that happened, James explored electrifying the fence, and we were quickly shut down by the city and told that's a big no-no. So unfortunately, that's not an option that we could move forward with. We talked about putting a big mean old grizzly dog out there as well, but it's hard to differentiate who the bad guys and who the good guys are as well. So that, those type of things are just really hard to move forward with. But
Ryan, have you thought about sending Jim out there on a late midnight
Nope.
walk? Because he's a pretty intimidating dude. He might scare just about everybody out of there if they're messing around.
I would not want to cross Jim on his bad side. That's for sure. I'm pretty sure he would handle business accordingly. So, but just to give you a little more context
there's
about
a bit of irony in that. Well, the irony is, I'm not trying to step on anybody here, but the irony in that, from what Jim told me, he actually happened to be out that way, which is what helped narrow this time frame down. He actually happened to be out that way because of how windy it was. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, he was responding to the truck shop side where it had tripped the alarm over there because of how windy it was. And he was over there, if I remember, I think he said 5 o'clock-ish.
So
and I was up to like 11-ish, which kind of narrowed the window up. But he was already kind of out there. They got us right in between that window.
Yeah, they did. They got lucky there. So Ryan,
just to add to that, he was responding to an alarm at the other building. He stopped by the yard there to check it out to make sure that nothing was going on there. Didn't see anything, and actually went home. And then that's when the call from Zach came and turned around, came right back. But when we looked at the surveillance footage and got all that information over to the police, these individuals came in at 1:28 in the morning and they were gone by 1:53. So in 25 minutes, they were cut through the fence in the yard, breaking windows and unfortunately stealing some property out of the cars. As you mentioned, Zach, they broke the back windows. I kind of thought, well, that's strange. Well, the reason being it's because it doesn't. Your car alarms won't go off if you have an alarm system on your car at the back window. So it's unfortunately there's some individuals that kind of knew what they were doing and probably have done this in the past.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And there were other yard drivers in the yard as well, including Zach. I think there were 5 total drivers that were obviously on their brakes and taking their break there. And so a very, very unfortunate thing that happened and a very frustrating thing that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably something that goes without saying, but we'll go ahead and say it here. We know you guys have got to park your personal vehicles down there or elsewhere. And, man, just don't ever leave anything that's worth a plug nickel in your vehicles because, if the city's not going to let you electrify the fence and these guys have found a way to cut in, I mean, you would just be naive to think that they're not going to try it again sometime once all the windows get fixed and they think people have forgotten. what's stopping them from coming back? Obviously, we've got the surveillance, the cops are on it, but this is a problem in the United States. I mean, I had a set of golf clubs stolen out of the back of my car when I was in college, and all I wanted to do was golf and drink beer. And it totally hamstrung me to only being able to drink beer as a college student, which I feel like is probably a reason I'm the way that I am now. So it sucks. Car theft thieves are some of the worst. Denny, I don't know if you ever had anything stolen from you while you were a driver or ever had a rig broken into, but there's nothing that really gets under my skin more, even if it doesn't happen to me. Like when bad things happen to other people, obviously when it's people I care about, I'm concerned and I feel for them, but something about when people that I know get stuff stolen from them just fires me up.
Yeah. Well, of course, I think I've told you, Dawn and I both have been driving Jeep Wranglers for almost 30 years now. And some hard tops, but mostly soft tops. And I decided with that first Wrangler I had that I wasn't going to have somebody tear up a $700 top to get a CD or something. So I just never left anything in there of value. And I always left, in fact, I had the half doors. I'd take those off, put them in the back. I'd open up the back window. So it was completely open. And that's the way I rode in my Jeep most of the time. But yeah, it hits close to home, especially when you live there. I thought a long time ago when they split up, because used to they had, load planning and dispatchers and everybody right there at Gomez years ago. And when they started moving them to different offices and stuff, I was thinking, why don't we why didn't H&M buy property like out on 29 and just lay out the whole thing, have the offices, the shop, the trailer shop, everything out in one location. And if you got outside of town, it's kind of like why I never, as a trucker, like to park inside the city. I'd park outside, basically past the bus route. If you can get outside the bus route, the riffraff, you don't have that problem. Yep. So I'm thinking the same thing for H&M. If I don't know the finances, I'm sure they have reasons why they haven't. I'm sure they probably considered it, but if they were to take and go out somewhere like north of town on 29, maybe near 680, ideal location, I would think. But that's just, from somebody that doesn't have a dog in the hunt anymore.
Well, I think, and Ryan, you can touch base on this too, but I think that therein kind of lies the real pisser in this whole thing is that, we're sitting here talking about the prospects of moving an entire company's operations out to someplace just to get away from car thieves. That's a real shitty thing that we have to talk about. And the fact that it even comes up in conversation is kind of a mind blower. And Ryan, I assume if that stuff has been looked into obviously H&M just got a new office, so probably not going to see anything like a big move for the lot taking place anytime soon would be my guess.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I will respond to Denny in the fact, yes, we have looked at that. Yes, prior to me even coming aboard, that's been a big topic of discussion. We would love to have a place, kind of a one-stop shop, so we can even have more access to our drivers. I mean, I think you're well aware we want our drivers to come in the office and see us, and we talk about that a lot. But man, it would be nice if we were all in one place. The challenge is obviously price, money, all that kind of stuff, finding the right place for us. And the other challenge along with that, Denny, is unfortunately, when you get in some of these nicer areas or different areas, fortunately, they don't want commercial vehicles coming in and out of them too. So it's not an easy find, but it's definitely something we've talked about and considered and will continue to look for in the future for sure.
Well, part of the reason I mentioned, say, north of town was because, well, first of all, south of town likes to flood. So you'd hate to build a nice new complex and then have the floodwaters come in again. But also because logistically it would be a good spot there, close to where 680 ties in, because that way traffic coming in wouldn't actually have to go through Omaha to get to the yard and things like that. I'm sure for guys that work in the office, it might be likely is a little further out of town to get to there. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, like you were, that if everything was located in the same place, you come in and maybe they needed to, do a service on your truck or something, you can go in the office, visit with your dispatcher, the load planners, maybe yeah. Anyway, but I'm sure that it was talked about even before James became president. I'm positive there's reasons why you haven't done it. It's just, I would think it would logistically would be nice to have everything in one location.
And Ryan, if you would like to hire Denny on as a consultant for a new spot, he's got a pretty expensive hourly rate, but I can put you in touch. All right.
Fair enough.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on here. Really appreciate it. We're kind of running short on time here, so I want to make some time for any final thoughts. Ryan, anything to tell the drivers just to kind of wrap this conversation up before we let you go?
No, yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say I feel for you. It's not something fun. It's not something that we want to happen. We did react as quickly as we can or could have, and we tried to provide and cooperate with the police everything step of the way. To Zach's point, they did end up sending a forensics team out there. We didn't touch anything. We didn't even close the fence or get all the windows sealed up until they gave us the thumbs up and let us go there. We provided all the footage and, of course, all the driver information, the owner vehicle information as well. So, a very terrible thing to happen. To your point, we are in a city. We're a big city. Omaha is a growing city, and unfortunately, these things do happen. And we're going to continue to try to put up as many deterrents as we can to avoid it in the future.
Well said. Appreciate it. That's your Chief Operations Officer for H&M Trucking, Ryan Holm. Zach Beckman, any final thoughts for us? I should start calling you Detective Zach Beckman, actually.
No, if anything, they need to keep me away from Omaha because it seems there's a bad trend of me ending up in Omaha and something going wrong. So this truck, I need to go get a plate holder and a custom plate for hanging up on the bull bar. But the thing's gonna end up getting the nickname the curse because this thing is giving me every little problem it can under the sun, and the handful of parts that need to work. And I'm not gonna list those off because I don't want those to catch the curse too.
So you just need to stay out of Omaha, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, last time was thankfully my truck isn't quite as bad as somebody else's. Mine had a similar issue, but mine got fixed. But this truck, it just seems carries a certain aura with it, or a jinx, or a curse, or whatever you want to call it. But this truck just no.
Boy,
no.
I will tell you, there was a lot of parallels to when I blamed my driver for hitting one into the pond, to what you just said right there, Zach. Are we sure this is an operator error?
The last one where I didn't catch the memo about don't drive through the fence until it's all the way open. After doing that for the last, 5 years before that memo came out. Yeah, about that. didn't rip the fence. Didn't rip it off its hinges like somebody else has. But if they have the camera footage from that one and went back and watched that one, they probably heard me cussing up a storm because I had the window down and I was yelling at it. So.
Well, we'll see if we can get our hands on that footage. That'd be some real good podcast content there. Zach, we appreciate the time, man.
Beep every 2 seconds, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
We appreciate the time. Just be safe out there. Thanks to Ryan as well, and we'll get you guys back on here soon, all right?
All right.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, we got all the business out of the way, Denny. It's time for us to have a little bit of fun, and I think that this next interview here, this next topic, is right up your alley, as we know that you were big on making your own food in the truck. You were not a guy that liked to buy food while you were out on the road, correct?
Well, it wasn't just buy food, but what food was available. It started with when I first started driving. I was on the truck with my trainer, and he looked like a beach ball with arms. And that's what he ate. He ate the fast food. He ate junk food. He had, cookies and crackers and snacks, everything within arm's reach. And I just made a conscious decision. I wasn't going to let that happen to me. And so, I would eat a hamburger from time to time, but it was more rare and where I could get a good hamburger, not the outfit that just recently, had poisoned onions or whatever that was.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah, that was kind of crazy. Well, we've got a driver here that's been hitting us up for a little while trying to get on the podcast to have a conversation with us about cooking in the semi-truck, cooking on the road, and we finally found some space for him, so we brought him in today. Please welcome H&M driver Erik King to the show. Erik, thanks so much for being here, man. We appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. What's up?
Not much, man. We're happy to have you here because I understand that while, yeah, truck driver, guy that makes some good food in the truck, you actually have some, like, bona fide chef training under your belt. Is that correct?
Yes, I started before the military, and when I got in the military, I got on to the culinary chef team when I was in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I was able to have a chance to meet Wolfgang Puck, who was one of my heroes along with Gordon Ramsay and Emerald. I love cooking, okay? One thing gets people together more than anything in the world is food.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what religion, what background you have, what food, the ethnic background, we all can get along with food. Now, if it's nasty, then we won't get along. But
oh, man.
We've had Petro food. Come on now.
Yep. We have. Actually, in the very early days of this podcast, we had one of my former co-hosts drive down to a Petro and pick up a Thanksgiving dinner and a clamshell and eat that live on the air and give us a review. Was not his favorite meal. I can tell you that right now.
I might as well have Taco Bell. At least it cleans out your body, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. A little bit of a flush that goes on there. So Erik, what do you have in the truck as far as, things that you can cook with, things that outfit your truck and make it into a bit of a kitchen on the road? Because I always think about, you guys that share your recipes on the Facebook page, or I see them just, in the Facebook feed, or I see them on forums, on Reddit and things like that. You guys make some amazing food in there, but I also understand that the truck doesn't necessarily come completely outfitted for you to do that. There might be some things that you need to add to it to give you that capability. So what type of stuff are you running in the cab there that you're cooking with, Erik?
Well, first you got to have some type of table, because I personally seen drivers use seats and your bed. That's not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So have yourself either a TV tray, so maybe an overlap table, or something that you can have something put on top, first of all. I recommend a skillet, because you can use a skillet for anything. Now, if you are price crunching, you can get it for $20 right now. They're on sale at Walmart or Target right now because of the holidays. You can get it for $20. Get yourself a good skillet. You can get yourself a good burner, either electric or gas, but I don't know how the company is with the gas part, but you can get electric, a 1 or 2 burner. You get utensils on the cheap side, or you go, Bed Bath & Beyond ain't around. Target, Walmart. That's where I normally shop at, because we all got to worry about prices, especially with inflation going on, as it affects all of us.
Yep.
One thing I carry a lot, and a lot of drivers do this as well, is a slow cooker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Especially with the winters coming up, the best time to have, you can have your stews, your soups, your chilies. Oh, yeah. Or your casseroles. You can have all of that. But you can't. You can start it in the morning, and by the time you get done your shift, you're already hungry because you've been smelling that thing for 6 to 8 hours. Right.
You cook it, you throw some potatoes and some carrots and onions and a nice big chunk of beef in that crock pot, and your truck is going to smell better than anything you've ever smelled.
That's what, like last week I made chili, and that's all I smelled. I'm like, gosh, I'm teasing myself. This ain't right.
But you bring up a couple of really good options there because, listen, I've got, I love my time in the kitchen. I'm constantly making meals and trying new things and everything. But I also do have a bit of a mobile kitchen that I use very frequently this time of year because I'm always out cooking at the tailgates for all my friends before the football games. And I have found that Walmart is amazing for cheap cooking utensils. If I need a big spoon or a serving spoon or a big fork or, anything, spatulas, all that stuff, you can pick up at Walmart for like $1.309. I mean, it's literally almost free.
That's true. And one thing about the Walmart, and this is not an ad, but Walmart Plus, because some of those drivers can't get to Walmart or you can't park at one, they have Walmart Plus, an app that you can have it shipped or delivered to you. So wherever you're at, for the most part, unless you're in the area,
Right.
They're
There's
out,
a few exceptions there, but you can definitely get it close to you if you need it, for sure.
Exactly. You brought up a great point because I try to stay with the plastic spoons and knives. I'm talking about you get the cutlery for like maybe $2-3. You know, you can get a cheap fork or spoon like a set for $1 to $3.
Yep.
Okay. Because when you're cooking, you don't want that plastic in your food. You know,
Right.
If you want plastic in your food, like I said, have Taco Bell. That's exactly what you're having. You know, we're talking about cost effective, but also there's going to be times that we're all going to be stuck in the winter. Denny knows this just as well. That you might be in Wyoming and Colorado and you can't move, or Snoqualmie, or wherever the case may be, and we all been there. You're like, I'm hungry, ain't nothing open. Well, keep yourself some goods above your head or somewhere, and have your utensils and your pots and pans, and you'd be set to go. You know, what I do is when I'm cooking, I crack the window down a little bit so people walking by doing a sniff. What are you all cooking? Then I tease them and I'll put it back up. I'm like,
Yeah, you can't have none. That's what I'm cooking.
Yeah.
Well,
you want some $5? You know,
yeah.
make money.
Denny, I know you were big on having a bunch of stuff in the truck in case of an emergency like that, where, you know, Erik's talking about. Maybe you're up on the good old famous Snoqualmie Pass with 8 feet of snow on either side of you and nobody's moving. You were always prepared for that, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Kept stuff on the truck all the time. You know, I like fresh food. In fact, you mentioned, you know, making a roast, and I guess Walmart still has them, but it was a roast in a kit that all came in a bag. Everything was ready. Open the bag, you dump it in there. And by the way, I'd like to add to that crock pot thing, liners. Because one of the things I always thought about is cleanup. You know, you don't have a kitchen sink to wash shit in a dishwasher. Whatever mess you make, you got to figure out a way to clean it up. So liners, I used paper plates. Kind of like you, Erik. I didn't like using the disposable, you know, knives and forks and stuff. I always, you know, I would be willing to clean that up. But yeah, I had kind of a combination. I had stuff that would keep in case I got stuck and didn't get a chance to go to the store. Then I had my more fresh stuff that I always kept on the truck. And then if I had occasion where I could go to, you know, I go to Walmart, which, you know, that's where they usually let trucks park, or a lot of them do. That was an easy place to go. And you could get, you know, you could get that roast kit, or you could get the stuff to make a batch of chili, or, you know, come around St. Patrick's Day, you got that corned beef, and cabbage and potatoes and carrots, and yeah, but all of that, any of that goes in the crock pot. And just like Erik said, man, you put that in the morning before you leave, or if it doesn't need to cook the full 6 or 8 hours you're going to be driving, you know, during your 30-minute break, dump that stuff in there. And then by the time you stop for the day, you're done and you got dinner ready. But then there's stuff that's quick, you know, like nachos was one of my favorites. Pull out a paper plate, dump some chips on it, grate a little cheese on there, some jalapenos. I've got dinner. If I had a little leftover roast beef from that roast beef I made a few days ago, I'd maybe throw some of that on there.
Hell yeah.
You know, Frito pie is another easy one. It's not healthy, but you know, you open a can of chili, heat it up. I made it, I called it upside down because I'd put my paper bowl in the microwave, heat up the chili, put the cheese on top, and then dump my chips in and stir it up. But, you know, that's another quick one. Another thing I love to do was when I was home and we were making, you know, say we were going to make spaghetti, just for example. You know, it could be spaghetti or any number of things. You start with ground meat, and I always started with ground meat, diced onion, salt, and pepper. I'd make twice the ground meat I would need for that recipe, and then I would take the other and portion it into 1/4 to 1/3 pound packages in little baggies and freeze them flat. So they fit in that little freezer in the truck just fine. I could bring out one of those in the morning. It would be thawed in the refrigerator by that evening when I stopped. So I'd heat that up. I'd have one of those little bitty cans of green beans, drain those, put those in with the meat. When I heat it up, make me a little tub of mashed potatoes, dump that on top. I've got my cheap ass shepherd's pie.
Gosh, that all sounds... I'm getting so hungry just listening to you
Now,
run down the list of
this is not Chef Erik's shepherd's pie that he probably bakes in the oven with cheese crusting on the top on a crockery thing. No, it's... Yeah,
Well,
it's...
speaking of oven, you get a Galons for 3-in-1 for your truck, and it has an oven, air fryer, and a microwave. So there you go.
I almost bought one of those towards the end of my driving career just because I didn't have an air fryer.
Yeah.
Because my wife uses that air fryer. She loves that thing. But yeah, that's a few of my quick recipes. Breakfast tacos is always one of my favorites. In fact, Marcus and I were talking about, well, he calls them breakfast burritos, but he's one of those West Coast guys. But yeah, breakfast tacos, man. You go in.
What did I do?
Here's another easy one. You go in, you get you a sausage link off the roller grill. You get some potato wedges from what you call it, chicken place, and you bring it back. You make some scrambled eggs. You keep that, the carton stuff. You make some scrambled eggs. You put the potatoes. You put the sausage. You grate a little cheese on there. You got breakfast tacos. And 15 minutes of if you call it cooking, and you've got breakfast for a couple of days anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what I was going to bring up, because if you do like this time of year, I do a lot, but you can cook enough, and also it's cost effective, and it don't taste like some of this crap that they're selling at the truck stops now. You can cook enough for 2 to 3 days easily.
Oh yeah.
Like if you want to save money, you can make a pasta dish of some sort, Alfredo, spaghetti, goulash, etc. And that will last 2-3 days, and it still tastes. Hey, come on, who has that spaghetti 2-3 days later and it tastes better than the first day?
Always. Anything Italian with any kind of pasta that can sit in the sauce for a couple days in the refrigerator always gets better. No question about it. I made a really easy one just this last week that I had seen, and it was the picture of the recipe that I saw on Facebook looked like it was a picture of a cookbook that was probably put together in like the 1940s. Very old, very weathered paper. Looked like it was a typewriter and not a computer printer, right? And all this was it said chicken breast, can of pineapple, bottle of teriyaki sauce. And I got 6 chicken breasts on sale for $5 at Kroger. It was like these are going to go bad if we don't sell them right away. Bought those on the cheap, threw all 6 of them in the crock pot with 1 can of pineapple chunks, a handful of carrots, half a bottle of my favorite teriyaki sauce, and I threw a little bit of hot sauce in there too. 8 hours later, we had the best shredded teriyaki chicken that I've ever had. And I think my wife and I, between the two of us, on that $5 worth of chicken, ate for 5 days. I mean, it was 6 chicken breasts. They were pretty big. So, that's 2 people eating on 1 crock pot of food for what was, 10 plus meals.
I like your wife more and more every time I hear, because Ashley will eat something. No, my wife, if it's leftover, I have to make it into something else. She does not like
She's
leftovers.
One of those, huh?
So I got to turn it into something else. If I've got spaghetti sauce left over, for instance, what I'll probably do is I'll add some cumin and chili powder, and maybe she likes beans because she's not from Texas anyway. So I'll put some beans with it, and she'll have chili.
Okay, so she makes
if I had the shredded chicken, I'd have to take that teriyaki chicken and add some spices to it and turn it into soft chicken tacos or something,
Oh, I feel you. We actually did teriyaki chicken quesadillas one night, and it was phenomenal.
Las finas comidas.
It was so good. So, Erik, I know you've got some recipes too. Denny and I have been sitting here rattling all of ours off.
He's the chef. We should shut up and let him talk.
Yeah, right. I know. This is like if you watch Kitchen Nightmares and Gordon Ramsay just let the guys that were failing in the kitchen continue to fail.
It's just me in the background yelling, "It's raw!"
Yeah. Calling me and
Where's
Denny an idiot
Bam!
sandwich. Yeah.
Bam!
Get out! F off! Get out of my kitchen!
Yeah, you knob! I cannot get enough of Gordon Ramsay calling people knobs because I know what it means.
That is my dream, to be honest with you. I want to get on Master Chef or not Kitchen Nightmares. I don't want that.
Hell's Kitchen, maybe?
No, that'd be awesome. Doesn't get cussed out one time, like.
Right.
Yeah.
I've often thought that being the guy that snuck on to the show in Hell's Kitchen would be the best because you'd probably be able to fly under the radar for those first couple of days. But then when he walks by and sees you trying to dice an onion and knows that you obviously haven't been taught how to do that correctly, then you're going to get your ass chewed out. I think that would be very compelling TV.
Correctly?
What?
If you
Yeah,
take an
why are you
onion and you
crying
make
on
it into
onion?
little bitty pieces, how is it incorrect?
Because they won't cook the same. If they're not the same size, Denny, they won't cook the same. So you'll have rawer onions and you'll have mushier ones. And that's the thing that gets under Mr. Ramsey's skin.
Well, Mr. Ramsey can kiss my
Yeah,
ass.
or not clean. not clean. Well, I'm not. He said it, not me. Gordon
Yeah,
Ramsay, in case
you can
listen
tell
to
him
this
that, Denny. You know he's like a 6'2" former professional athlete, that guy, right?
No, I
Denny
wasn't
doesn't
aware of
care.
that.
He's a
500.
Marine. Yeah, Denny doesn't care.
He's also worth $500 million. He can sell us.
Yeah, he could buy us too, you know? We're for
Yep.
sale, man. Everybody's got a
He can
price.
buy me.
So anyway,
Hi, Dad.
what have you been cooking lately, Eric, that you're liking and wanting to share with some of the rest of the drivers?
Well, there's peanut butter jelly. That's great.
Oh, that's a good
not
one.
hard to make.
It's always a
Yeah,
standby.
it's delicious. Yeah, just fry it up a little bit. I got a couple recipes. I'm trying to look up for the one I got because I put one on the curve last month. Yeah, cheeseburger soup.
Oh, I love a good cheeseburger soup.
Oh, man, now I'm getting hungry now. Man, can we go? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm surprised you
That's
don't
what
already
I'm
have
going to
something
do when we
going.
get through here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I do, but I'm hungry now. Thanks. I got this bacon chicken tender thing you can make. It's called barbecue bacon cheeseburger meatballs.
Ooh. Okay. Walk us through it.
You know, well, if you have a galunge, if not, you can fix it up differently in your skillet.
Yeah.
I put it on the oven for 400 degrees, and I put ground beef, breadcrumbs, Parmesan, cheese, onion, parsley, egg, garlic powder, Worcestershire, or Worcestershire sauce. I don't know how y'all say it.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper. Mix it together, make a ball. Use your finger, put an indent in it, and put bacon and cheese in the middle, then roll it up. The bacon and the cheese is in the middle.
Oh, wow. That
Man,
sounds amazing.
you can put that either on mashed potatoes, if you like gravy, or you can make plain buttered garlic potatoes, or some white rice. That stuff was cheap, but simple, but it's delicious.
Oh, I bet. I mean, you were going kind of Bubba Gump on it there with all the things that you can do with it, but you could throw those things in the air and I'll just come flying by and catch them in my mouth, man. That sounds so good.
That's what she said.
I'm sure she did at some point in time.
We're talking food, everybody. This is PG.
Hey, gotta love the H&M Trucking Podcast, right?
Yes, we love it here.
You did say something about balls.
Yes. Well, it's small enough. Don't worry about it. cold out.
Meat
Yes,
balls.
meatballs. Thanks, Danny. Now I'm fired. Now I'll go work for what were those other companies? Swift.
Oh God, we're not allowed to say that's a 4-letter word on this. We're gonna have to bleep that out now.
Thanks.
So what else you got? Okay, meatballs. What else?
Yeah, we have balls. Let's see. What's the other one? Well, that's meatballs.
What am I gonna do with you two? What am I gonna do with you two? we talked about a meatball recipe, and all of a sudden you both turned into third graders. Can we move on from balls?
Balls.
We're getting chastised by Marcus. This is a bad day.
Yeah, see how far you've gone?
You guys like Parmesan chicken?
Yeah, you can put Parmesan on a slab of dirt and I'd eat
Is
it.
it ready yet?
Yeah.
It's simple for anybody to make.
Okay.
All you need is mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs, and butter. Mix it together, grill it up, close your lid on the skillet. You got yourself the Longhorn style Parmesan chicken.
Longhorn style
cheap.
Parmesan chicken. God, that sounds good too. We're gonna have to cut this
Yes.
short, you guys. My stomach is growling at me right now. This is crazy. I've never been this hungry on a.
You ever made your own fresh jalapeno poppers?
No. How do you do that?
Oh, you never had it? Yeah, go for it, Denny.
Get the fresh jalapenos. You cut the end off and slice them in half. Take the seeds and the ribs out. You can leave some in if you want some kick, but my wife doesn't like a whole lot of spice. So take that out, fill it with cream cheese, wrap some good thick sliced bacon around it, stick it in the air fryer or on the grill if you're at home or at tailgating. Simple. Now, a lot of people will put brisket and chicken and sausage and all kinds of crap inside of it. Personally, I just like it with jalapeno, cream cheese, wrapped in bacon. Simple, and I can make a meal on those things.
I feel like a nice, like kind of like a garden sour cream, or not sour cream, but garden cream cheese. Have you ever had those? It's got like a little bit of herbs and just a little bit of seasonings in it.
Now you're getting just a little too fancy.
Well, of course I am. You know, you try to elevate, you try to add depth of flavor, and this is what you get out of it. You get called a knob. It must be
I don't know how to
Friday.
eat a jalapeno popper with my pinky in the air, okay? So I'll just stick to my plain cream cheese. Thank you very much.
I could teach you how to shove it up your ass, Danny. No, I'm just kidding.
Sideways, hole. You like a dice hole.
That'll burn after a little while.
Well, those jalapeno poppers are going to burn regardless of which way it goes in. So, you got to... You got to remember that. What has happened? We were actually on a topic and we were having a good conversation.
I don't know about you, Eric, but I'm going to say Marcus started it.
That's okay. I got broad shoulders, Eric. You can blame me too.
I know nothing. I say I'm married, so you married. All of us married. We can play that, huh? I know what happened.
Yeah, it's true, but somebody has to be responsible for the podcast at the end of the day.
It's
so
your
I guess
show.
that's who I'm married to. So, whatever. It's fine.
Your show.
You're right. Well,
It's yours. You're the boss.
Well, James Fonda's the boss, okay? Let's not split any hairs here. James is the boss, and then there's everybody else, and somewhere down the line, long way down the line, you'll find me. Probably right at the end of it, to be honest with you. I have zero say in anything that goes on except for the few minutes of this podcast. So, I'll take responsibility for it. Like I said, I got broad shoulders. I'm the third grader. I amassed my other two third graders, and I took off talking about balls with you guys. It's my fault. I'm okay with it. But we probably should wrap this up here because this actual episode is starting to get a little bit longer than what we had planned on. Erik, it's a pleasure having you here, man. Is there anything else that any other recipes that you want to share before we let you go? And I can almost guarantee you, with as good as this one went, we'll get you back on to talk more chefing sometime in the future. But anything you want to leave the drivers with?
Yeah, save your money. I mean, I see too many drivers, and Denny knows this. The food inside these truck stops is no good for us. Mm-hmm. And they're designed for not to be good for you. Grab your crap and get out. There's no sit down. So why do you not enjoy your food that you made? And it's going to cost half the price and taste way better. At the same time, like I said, save money. You see how you can pay. It's at least $20 a meal now, easily. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, don't matter. Yeah. And I don't know who can afford 3 meals a day. Then someplace you got to pay for parking. Then you got other stuff going on. That's almost $100 a day. I don't know about y'all. I can't afford that.
No.
So try to save your money, and also try to save your gut. Because he's right. There's a lot of bowling balls with arms walking around us, and they have a hard time breathing when they're walking, and that's why they're parking at the field line. And I use the park in the back so that way I can roll down my windows and tease all the drivers going, and then roll it back up. Especially when I make bacon, because he doesn't like bacon. Bacon gets everybody.
Yeah, bacon gets everybody. Well, well said there on a few different fronts. You save money now and you make food in your truck for these next 5 years. You think about the doctor bills that you're going to save on because you're not eating all of that processed garbage. You'll save money even further than what you think by cooking in the truck and eating some good fresh meals. And I'm sitting here looking at Denny, at your age, retired, you're in some of the best shape I've ever seen, man. I know you go on 5-mile jogs still, and a lot of that is probably attributed to the fact that you ate well while you were out there on the road for as long as you were. And I think that you probably are a testament to how healthy you can stay well into your golden years. What?
You're making fun of my age.
Was it about 80?
I wasn't trying to make him sound like that, but I realized when I was saying that I was making him sound like he had one foot in the grave. And Denny, I don't think that about you, but I'm sorry it kind of came off that way.
No, I've been looking at
talking about. He's looking for some hearing aids, actually. So
my wife likes to walk behind me, get in the kitchen, and then say something to me. I'm like, what? You need hearing aids. Just stay in the same room, I'd be fine.
Well, Erik,
maybe there's a reason I'm behind you. I don't want to hear you.
I gave Denny a chance to do this here a couple weeks ago, something that is normally my job, but I pawned it off on Denny, and he had a little bit of fun with it. Would you like to go ahead and say our tagline, since we got to wrap this episode up? We're out of time right now. There's no time for Denny and I to come back and do another segment. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Eve Essary. Thanks to, of course, Erik King. Thanks to Ryan Holm and Zach Beckman as well. We had a great episode here. Erik, if you would be so kind, can you give the people out there the tagline?
Oregon ducks suck? Oh, wrong one.
Not the tagline I was... I guess I deserved that, Denny. I guess I deserved that. You know, if you when the cat's away, the mice will play. Is that what they say?
Something like that. He meant that thing about cheeseheads.
Stay fresh.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit me with it one good time, one real crispy one.
Stay fresh, cheese bag.
I thought he was going to go with duck suck again. I thought he was going to get me twice there. Erik King, Denny Stone, we appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.